Presidential race has probably been perhaps one of the most contentious the United States has ever seen. Donald Trump being unpredictable for most of his campaign and Hillary Clinton appearing almost too planned at times. Their styles very different in so many ways. So joining me to talk about the candidates' campaign styles is Brian Graham from Dixie Strategies and Dr. Dorcas McCoy from Bethune-Cookman University. Thank you so much for joining us right now. But they are two very different people. Donald Trump was more of an open book, willing to just, when we would invite him for an interview, more than likely he would take it. Hillary Clinton, we would invite her for an interview. She never accepted one. Explain how those two campaign styles break down into how people responded to that.
Well, I think Hillary Clinton was much more scripted, much more controlled. Her staff was able to control her much better. Donald Trump, no one could really control him. He rarely would listen to advice. We heard complaints all the time from staffers and former staffers about how they could not really control Donald Trump. And he was not scripted. He was off the cuff. And that often got him into trouble. But this election year, it seems that voters have really been looking for something different. And Donald Trump certainly offered that.
Dr. McCoy?
I certainly agree. I think it's the difference, and I think it's the willingness to say what you mean and mean what you say that really attracted a large number of people. Donald Trump was very successful in using the campaign strategy that focused on the economy and jobs. The American people are interested in money across the board. It didn't matter if you were a millennial, interested in student debt, a Generation Xer, interested in pay equity, a baby boomer, interested in retirement, regardless of who you were. That money and job focus was a rally around the flag phenomena. So the reality of making Americans feel you're hired, I think across the board, people jumped on board. They wanted to work for this institution of making America great again. But I think what happened, one of the unique things about his style and saying what you mean and meaning what you say, he began to fire people so very quickly. Very quickly in his campaign, he fired Muslims, then he began to fire women, then he began to fire those who were disabled, those who served in the armed forces, and I think in the end, that type of campaign style hurt him significantly.
Well, you know, that was his catchphrase for The Apprentice, and some criticized that, you know, he ran a campaign very much like a reality show, but in the end, reality shows get people's attention.
They do, and Donald Trump was always able to get attention. You know, he's done this his entire life, his entire career. He has always been able to get attention. He has built an entire enterprise, an entire business based upon his personality. And then again, his personality is what led him throughout this campaign. And again, you also have to think about, he kind of came across as just an average guy. Even though he's a billionaire,
an average guy who happens to be a billionaire.
Right, he was able to come across as, I'm just like you, a billionaire, just like you. But he did come across as kind of a normal, average guy, made mistakes, said things that weren't politically correct. And again, I think the American people were kind of hungry for someone that wasn't scripted and wasn't a politician, whereas Hillary Clinton was always very scripted, always very careful. And of course, that made her more dull, less appealing, and less exciting, as you can tell from the difference in the rallies. Hillary Clinton is lucky to get 2,000 people at a rally, unless she brings in superstars. But Donald Trump will easily, just him and a flag, will get 20,000 people.
But, you know, do you think that in the end, when people thought, okay, he's saying what he means, but when he started offending so many people and then his own people couldn't get him under control, then does that strategy then start to backfire?
Most definitely. I think it backfired on him, and it's continuing to backfire. I think that he will have a legacy of one who really polarized the American people rather than unifying. I think Hillary Clinton's campaign platform of Stronger Together, I think that resonated within the American people, especially as he began to ostracize so many different people within the American nation.
Okay, so it resonated with Americans, but it seems like Floridians, maybe that message did not resonate with them. Maybe they wanted what Trump was saying, because if you look at the numbers right now that Mike DeForest was trying to show us, it is tight.
Well, I think that both candidates had messages which resonated with different groups of people. I think what you're looking at is an excitement gap as well. So when you're looking at these numbers, there's a tremendous excitement gap. You could see it in Donald Trump's rallies. You could see it by how excited supporters of Donald Trump were to get out and vote for him. And in a race like this, a presidential race, where these races in many states are determined by just a few points and several thousand votes many times, excitement matters because you can turn out your supporters.
Well, we are still keeping a very close eye on the numbers. It is now 9:52, and we're still probably in for a long night. We hope not a long night, but it could possibly be a very long night. Brian Graham and Dr. Dorcas McCoy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we will be right back.